Jesus summoned the 12 and began to send them out two by two. In the past couple of weeks since I began my first assignment here at the Cathedral of the Sacred Heart, I've met some pretty incredible folks. People who have been hospitable, nice, and frankly, just incredibly generous. And when I speak to parishioners, I often get a lot of questions, but one question I seem to always get is, what was your favorite part of seminary? I usually say, the simplicity of life it afforded me, in the living in community with my seminarian brothers, stuff like that. But no one ever asked me what I disliked most about seminary. To which I probably would say the simplicity of life and living in community with my seminarian brothers. And I promise it has nothing to do with the guys in particular who I lived with. Nope, it wasn't their fault. May have been. But there's just something about group projects or group initiatives that make me squirm. It isn't even a seminary thing. I think it's a fact of life that in seminary, university, high school, even middle school and grade school, I could not stand it when a teacher, professor, or formator handed out a group project. They say, we're going to split you into groups or pairs, and we have 2 weeks to get something done. It just seemed to me that this was a huge waste of time, that we would have to work in groups. And for those teachers out there, you're probably saying, Father Danny, you're just building this up. You're picking on us. Group projects help build skills for teamwork, collaboration, and communication. Yeah. Sure. But group projects still really stink. Because usually there's a plan, right? Usually teachers come up with a plan where they put a high performer with a low performer and try to get the high performer to get the low performer out of their shell and maybe pick up and learn something new from this high performer. Also, the low performer can teach the high performer to take a chill pill every once in a while. Learn how to delegate. Also, these two different performers are talking to each other, so maybe they can learn to become friends. Yeah, right. But regardless of where we experience group collaboration like this, whether it be in the schoolhouse or in the workforce, I think this is something that we can all relate to, my friends. And it's the idea of, it's a lot easier if I can just get the job done by myself. If I can just have the necessary tools and time to get the job done in front of me, then I can get it done in a way that it needs to be. It's just easier. I can do it faster. I don't have to coordinate with others. Just give me what I need and let me go. I can be more efficient. I can waste less time trying to meet this person and collaborate with them and pretend that their ideas actually work. It just seems like it would be better off. And so when Jesus summons the 12, we have to remember who he was dealing with. Can you imagine Peter? Peter up there, a poor fisherman, a commoner with physical skills and street knowledge growing up, and he goes up to a guy like Matthew, a tax collector, the most hated man in the region of Capernaum, asking him for help in terms of utilizing his mental strengths, not so much his street smarts, but his book smarts, for the sake of the mission. And how difficult must this have been if, say for any of the apostles up there, going to James or John, sons of Zebedee, sons of thunder, brothers who were ready to send fire down upon the crowds that would not listen to Jesus' words. These two wealthy sons of Zebedee must have been inseparable. Imagine their reaction then if they were told to go off with someone else, you have to go away from your in crowd. You have to reach somebody else. I think they would be pretty obstinate, pretty resistant to that change. Or what about the poor apostle that has to go out with Judas, has to witness his slow digression into the traitor that he is monumentally known for all time? And forget the apostles themselves. Imagine what it must be like going into a town and relying upon the generosity of others, people who, for whatever reason, have not yet grabbed on to the mission of Christ. It would seem to me like they have gained more ground if they had just gone one by one. They would have been able to heal more people. They would have been able to work more wonders and be more efficient for our Lord, instead of summoning them and sending them out two by two. Because yes, there was a danger in what they were doing, and you may be saying, yeah, the reason why I sent two by two is so they could watch each other's back. But I think it was more than that, because our Lord easily could have set a seal upon them to protect them, just like God did to Cain in the book of Genesis. He's really sending them out with no food, no sack, no money in their belts. They're allowed to wear sandals, sure, but they couldn't bring a second tunic. And they had to go with someone they probably didn't like. They're at such a disadvantage. Wouldn't it be make more sense to just send them one by one, but with more supplies and a promise of protection? But then we see the importance of sending them out two by two. We see a brotherhood begin to ignite within the apostles. And it enables them not only to go out, heal, and cleanse many people in this certain instance, but it also helps to sanctify each other. The old expression of iron sharpens iron occurs here. And it leads us to the fact, and this is an important fact, self-reliance is not a Christian virtue. As Americans, this can be a hard pill to swallow because of our pull yourself up by your bootstrap mentality. And I'll grant you that hard work, diligence, and discipline are all good qualities that we should adapt. But no amount of singular effort is going to get us to heaven, my friends. We know that, but sometimes we feel if God just gave us plenty of supplies for our journey, for our lives, and just let it work it out ourselves, then we'll be good. No need for anyone else or any help. We'll be good. Just give me what I need and I can get this done. But the simple fact is, we must rely upon others. First of all, we rely upon Holy Church, her sacraments, the intercessions of the saints who are members of the Church Triumphant. But we also must rely upon each other. Husbands and wives, your spouses rely upon you to help them towards heaven. Mothers, fathers, your children rely upon you to educate them in the faith, to bring them closer to holiness. Priests, religious, consecrated singles, we all rely upon you, the laity, for your prayers. And that's for our sanctification as well. And just as Jesus sent the apostles out two by two, my friends, he sends us out into the world. Not as isolated individuals, but as members of a community, members of the universal Catholic Church, working together to fulfill his mission, not ours, his. And it's through our relationships, our collaborations, that we grow, we learn, and we sanctify each other. And it burns. It burns when you have somebody who keeps questioning you over and over and over again, but that's where the sharpening happens. It's our shared efforts, our shared struggles, our triumphs as well, that bind us together and help us to become stronger in our faith. And so as we continue to reflect on the gospel and as we enter into these sacred mysteries, let us embrace those roles within our community. Let us recognize the value of working together and praying together. Let us support one another and rely on one another, knowing that in doing so, we are fulfilling God's will and bringing his kingdom closer to fruition.